Did you know that in the original mandate that broke up the Ottoman Empire into several states, the one that designated the area for the Jewish state included the words, giving recognition to the historical connection between the Jewish people and Palestine. The word Palestine in a political context appears only twice, once ending Jewish sovereignty and once in anticipation of building Jewish sovereignty. The first time that it is established in a political context is by the Roman Empire after it puts down the repeated Jewish rebellions. It was not only enough to crush the rebellion, to send many of the Judeans into exile, the idea was to rename the area so that the Judeans in exile will no longer be recognized as having a connection with Judea. And thereby the province of Judea was renamed by the Roman Empire as Syria Palestina, using Roman historian Herodotus' notion that this area had a connection with an invading people, pleshet means invading, with an invading people named Philistines on the coastline. From that moment on, the Roman heirs, Europe, Christianity, knew the name Palestine for centuries and millennia as the geography in which the Jewish homeland once stood. In that sense, the Roman emperor failed in the ability to disconnect the name of Palestine, from its connection with Jewish sovereignty. Nearly 2,000 years later, the name Palestine appears again in a political context, after the breakdown of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, and when it is understood that the people of the empire, the Kurds, the Armenians, the Arabs, the Turks, the Jews, will have their states. But in the process, they will be tutored by the victorious powers, the British and the French. So this interim process called the Mandate is created for Arab states, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, and also for a Jewish state. The mandate that is unanimously given by the League of Nations to the Jewish state for the Jewish people to achieve sovereignty includes the following sentences: giving recognition to the historical connection between the Jewish people and Palestine. And that recognition of the historical connection is therefore phrased in the mandate as the grounds for reconstituting their national home in that country. So it is understood that the name Palestine means the geography where the Jewish homeland once stood and where it will once stand again. Recognizing the historic connection between the Jewish people and Palestine made sense to everyone. This is why it was unanimously agreed, because everyone understood that Palestine was the Roman, European, Christian, colonial name given to geography where the Jewish homeland once stood and where it will be one day reconstituted. As a result, when the Jewish people under the British Mandate create the institutions that will one day become the institutions of their sovereign state, they all include the name Palestine, because everyone understood that this means Jewish. Sometimes you see on the internet these memes that say, oh, Palestine once existed, in order to somehow claim that it was stolen by the Jews. And they bring these images of a Palestine football club. And you think, oh my God, this is the football team of the Palestine that was stolen. And then you zoom in, only to realize that the name of the football players are Kastenbaum and Nudelman and Friedman. They were all Jews because this was the football team of the Jewish pre-state year. The Israel Philharmonic Orchestra was called the Palestine Philharmonic Orchestra, and it is the orchestra of Jewish players who are no longer allowed to play in European orchestras. And the Palestine Post later became the Jerusalem Post. When Israel finally declares independence, there is no longer a Roman Empire or a Byzantine Empire or an Ottoman Empire or a British Empire. Finally, the Jewish people have decolonized themselves from multiple empires. They did what every self-respecting people did at that time when they finally threw the yoke of their colonial rulers. They called themselves by their indigenous name: Gold Coast, Rhodesia, Ceylon. And they call themselves by a local indigenous name: Ghana, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, Israel. What the Jewish people did was to throw off the name Palestine, which was understood to be the colonial name, and thereby give their own indigenous name that had a connection to the land, to the history, Israel.